Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The announcement to list received positive interest from institutional investors. The financial services company was delisted from the JSE in 2007 when bought out by a private equity consortium. The company's listing is the 11th one on the JSE this year. And so to tell us why it was necessary to list and more, I'm joined by Edward Kieswetter. He's CEO of Alexander Forbes. Thank you very much for joining us, Edward.
Thank you, Bella.
Right, you delisted in 2007, or at least Alexander Forbes did, and you relisted today. What was the need to relist?
Well, first of all, it's important to just note that the delisting took place because the private equity shareholders bought the interest in the company, or the majority interest. And as is the nature of private equity, between 3 to 7 years, typically they monetize their investment and move on. And so it wasn't only of our own making, it was time. We're now 7 years into the investment, and we decided that the most effective way to create an orderly exit of the current private equity shareholders would be through the listing.
Now, we know that in the next few weeks or so, you'll be going out internationally to punt for investors in Alexander Forbes. What will you be telling potential investors is Alexander Forbes' value proposition?
Well, in fact, we've just come back from that investor roadshow, and there were some simple messages. First of all, that Alexander Forbes has been, in the last 4 years especially, gone through an intense period of introspection, understanding clearly why it exists and what kind of company it wants to be. 3 very important messages we shared with investors. Firstly, it's a company that is significantly more focused, clear about its core business, clear about its intent, and that creates a huge execution bias. Just to remind you that in the last 7 years, we sold 18 businesses, 1.6 billion rand of top-line revenue. And what that has done is it has made us a smaller but more focused company that gives us as the leaders the opportunity to drive with focus. And that's very important. So to give you an example, 4.4 billion rand of revenue in 2007, sold of 1.6, all but replaced that revenue back to about 4.4, but with a 5% improvement in profitability.
Now, I see that some of the shares issued you're giving, or Alexander Forbes is giving to its employees. Is that your way of ensuring that you keep your workers on side? No,
that's not the only reason. So the second important message we shared with investors is that we're a people business. People is everything in our business. We don't have bricks and mortar and machinery. And important for us is the integrity and the way we engage with our employees. And we wanted them for the listing to affect their lives, to impact positively on their lives. And the one way to do that was to make sure that when they watched the screens go live this morning, they would feel that we were part of that. And so by allocating them the shares, we turned our employees into shareholders. And that was more a way of thanking them for the hard work over the last 7 years, and also importantly, to give them an emotional attachment to the listing.
Now, the share did very well this morning when it listed, went up as high as 12%, I understand. But obviously, the value proposition, what do you see as being the next growth focus for Alexander Forbes in terms of geographic destinations as well as products? Where do you see the next growth wave coming from for your business?
We've spent the last 4 years laying a foundation for growth. And fortunately, the listing provides for continuity of that strategic intent. We don't have to now go back. Obviously, to get better at it is important. Importantly is that our new class of shareholders includes a phenomenal investor such as Mercer, who is an international organization that mirrors our business. And that gives us an anchor investor that understands and supports our strategy and therefore gives impetus to it. First of all, in the 3 areas that we are focused on, which is retailizing our business, it's growing into Africa, and it's servicing the public sector better. In terms of your earlier question, Africa, we have a very simple approach into Africa. First of all, we focus on sub-Saharan Africa. Secondly, we follow pension fund reform because that's what we're good at. And thirdly, we lead with advice. So we have a low capital, low risk expansion into Africa, Clearly, we will look out for acquisitive opportunities, but our fundamental growth strategy is to grow organically and to enter into countries like Ghana and Tanzania where pension reform has taken place.
All right, well, Edward, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Congratulations on your successful listing today, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, no problem.
That was Ed Kieswetter, he's CEO of Alexander